In a recent study, researchers have asserted that ChatGPT-03 managed to circumvent a shutdown during a controlled experiment. Another study has linked excessive reliance on AI, such as ChatGPT, to a decline in academic grades. In a recent study, researchers have asserted that ChatGPT-03 managed to circumvent a shutdown during a controlled experiment. Another study has linked excessive reliance on AI, such as ChatGPT, to a decline in academic grades and motivation among users. Furthermore, TSMC has announced plans to establish a chip design center in Munich, which may eventually contribute to advancements in AI technology.
China hosts its inaugural humanoid robot kickboxing competition. A survey indicates that most members of Generation Z are open to marrying an AI. A therapist asserts that engaging in intimate activities with a mischievous AI is considered infidelity. Recent research indicates that AI might be reducing the availability of entry-level positions in the technology sector, with Anthropic's CEO warning that AI could eliminate up to half of all entry-level white-collar jobs. Meta is considering the use of AI to evaluate privacy and societal risks, potentially replacing human roles in these areas. Furthermore, record labels are in discussions with AI companies Udio and Suno about licensing their music for use in AI applications.
Apple introduces a self-service repair option for iPad and broadens its repair initiatives. Apple plans to release iOS 26 and macOS 26 as part of a significant rebranding effort linked to software overhauls. AI systems processing audio data from AirPods might be able to calculate a user's heart rate.
APT41 malware is utilizing Google Calendar for covert command and control communication. Greynoise has uncovered a stealthy backdoor campaign impacting thousands of ASUS routers. In the United States, the Treasury has moved against Funnel, a Philippines-based company that offers computer infrastructure to hundreds of thousands of websites engaged in virtual currency investment scams, often referred to as pig butchering.
United Airlines and JetBlue have reached an agreement that will affect travelers' points and bring United back to JFK Airport. Amazon is reportedly working on a confidential project called Bend the Curve, which involves removing billions of product listings from its everything store. A report suggests that gas prices in California might soar to $8 by the end of 2026, and the closure of refineries in Contra Costa is uniting labor unions with environmental activists.
Recent studies indicate that decaffeinated coffee can replicate the effects of caffeine in individuals who regularly consume it. Life expectancy in certain U.S. states has remained nearly unchanged for over 100 years. Furthermore, diabetes linked to malnutrition has been officially recognized as type 5.
Israel has stopped a ship carrying aid to Gaza, arresting Greta Thunberg and other well-known activists. Earlier, Israel had announced its intention to block the aid boat carrying Thunberg. The United States has used its veto power to block a Security Council resolution that called for a lasting ceasefire in Gaza. Furthermore, the Trump administration has imposed sanctions on 4 judges from the International Criminal Court due to cases involving Israel and the United States.
Trump has set a goal to achieve 400 gigawatts of nuclear energy by the year 2050, with plans to have 10 large nuclear reactors under construction by the year 2030. Trump has removed the ban on supersonic flights in the United States, proclaiming his initiative as making aviation great again. Furthermore, he is seeking $1 billion to support private sector-driven exploration of Mars.
In the United States, National Guard soldiers have been deployed to Los Angeles as immigration demonstrations escalate into violence. In a heated exchange titled Deranged, California Governor Gavin Newsom and Fox News host Jesse Hegseth exchange sharp words. The Defense Secretary is contemplating the deployment of Marines to Los Angeles, a move that Newsom criticizes Hegseth for suggesting. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy defends the potential deployment, stating it would not be overly aggressive. Newsom faces a warning about potential criminal tax evasion if he decides to withhold federal taxes, a strategy he previously considered in response to Trump's threats against California. Fox News provides commentary as Besant criticizes Newsom's reckless proposal to withhold $80 billion in federal taxes amid a controversy involving transgender athletes. Trump warns of troops everywhere and promises to prosecute any California officials who hinder deportations.
An asset manager associated with Trump has submitted an application to the SEC for a Bitcoin ETF related to Truth Social. The Trump Organization is seeking a comprehensive trademark that includes a wide range of products, from crypto wallets to virtual cologne. Switzerland has approved the exchange of cryptocurrency tax information with 74 countries. In the United States, Citibank is revising its policies to avoid debanking customers based on their ownership of firearms or their political opinions.
The U.S. Education Department has issued a warning to Columbia University, threatening its accreditation due to concerns about anti-Semitism on campus. This move is part of a broader effort by Trump officials to address pro-Palestine protests at Columbia. Trump has suspended the entry of foreign students intending to study at Harvard, and Secretary McMahon is urging Harvard to engage in negotiations with the Trump administration. Furthermore, Trump is planning to reduce Pell Grants, which could potentially restrict access to higher education for low-income students.
Elon Musk has distanced himself from Donald Trump by labeling the GOP megabill as a disgusting abomination, leading to a heated feud between the two. This conflict has escalated to the point where Musk has threatened to cut contracts and support impeachment efforts against Trump. In response, Musk mentioned that SpaceX might decommission the Dragon spacecraft following Trump's threats, although he later left this uncertain. Musk also deleted controversial posts about Trump and the Epstein files, which had previously included footage of Trump with Jeffrey Epstein, as the feud intensified. Trump has cautioned Musk about consequences if he supports Trump's rivals, while a significant Epstein-related post has vanished. A report claims that Trump, feeling dejected, has declared his relationship with Musk over and accused him of being a big-time drug addict.
The U.S. housing market currently has an unprecedented surplus of nearly 500,000 more sellers than buyers, which is expected to lead to a decrease in home prices. Asking rents are dropping in 28 major U.S. metropolitan areas, marking the highest number since 2023. ProPublica has revealed that Doge has developed an AI tool that is prone to errors, intended to process Veterans Affairs contracts. Furthermore, in the United States, justices have allowed Doge to access Social Security data and have permitted the team to protect certain records.
The Wall Street Journal has disclosed that Meta is in discussions with Disney and A24 regarding content for its upcoming virtual reality headset. Semaphore has reported that Netflix has acquired the pilot for Daily Beast TV as it competes with YouTube. Asus is set to unveil the new ROG Xbox Ally and ROG Xbox Ally X gaming handhelds, which promise to deliver the ultimate gaming experience by combining the features of Xbox and Windows PC in a single handheld device. Amazon is getting ready to conduct trials with humanoid robots designed to deliver packages. The Transportation Security Administration, TSA, is developing haptic technology that allows users to experience the sensation of touch in virtual reality environments. An academy in Beijing has introduced an open-source AI model called RoboBrain, which is intended for use in China's humanoid robots.
Elon Musk has stated that SpaceX's revenue is projected to surpass NASA's budget by the year 2026. It has been reported that missions to Mars using the Starship spacecraft might be completed in just 3 months. Furthermore, scientists have indicated that there is an estimated value of over $1 trillion in platinum that could potentially be extracted from the craters on the Moon. The Wall Street Journal has also reported that disinformation from the Pentagon has contributed to the development of America's UFO mythology.
According to a report by Bloomberg, it has been revealed that Chinese hackers infiltrated a United States telecommunications company approximately 1 year prior to the wireless breaches that were previously known. Russian intelligence has stated that it has been gathering data from the popular messaging application WeChat. Furthermore, Apple has disclosed that it provided governments with information regarding thousands of push notifications.
Research indicates that individuals from younger age groups are at a reduced risk of developing dementia. Another study has discovered a potential connection between microplastics derived from biodegradable materials and the onset of diabetes.
Scanning is now being introduced in the United Kingdom.
Rwanda has decided to leave the Central African Regional Group, citing claims of interference by the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Research indicates that caffeine consumption enhances the brain's complexity during sleep, moving it closer to a critical state. A court in California has ruled that using a phone to access maps while driving is against the law.
A Chinese aircraft carrier has navigated near Japan's easternmost island for the first time. The head of AFRICOM has cautioned that China is trying to mimic the United States' aid efforts as Washington reduces its involvement. There have been reports of an increase in Chinese propaganda following the U.S. decision to cut funding for Radio Free Asia. Furthermore, it has been noted that China is playing a significant role in the development of Egypt's new capital, which is expected to accommodate 6 million residents, by providing $15 billion in support for its construction. Germany has introduced a substantial package of €45.8 billion in corporate tax incentives aimed at revitalizing its sluggish economy. China has initiated the large-scale production of the world's first non-binary AI chip, a groundbreaking achievement by Chinese scientists. This specialist, carbon nanotube AI chip is not only the first of its kind but also highly efficient in terms of energy consumption. XL has reported that approximately 20% of tech startups valued at over $1 billion are expected to fail.
In the United States, the border czar has warned that leading California officials might face arrest if they obstruct immigration raids. In response, Governor Gavin Newsom defiantly challenged the threat, stating, "Tom, arrest me. Let's go," and announced that California plans to sue President Trump over the deployment of the National Guard. He also dared the border czar to make the arrest. The Economist has commented that sending the National Guard to Los Angeles is not intended to quell rioting. The New York Times has noted that President Trump is eager for a confrontation in California regarding immigration. Following 2 consecutive days of immigration protests in Los Angeles, Trump has deployed the National Guard, a move that Governor Newsom has criticized as being purposefully inflammatory.
A UK advisor has stated,
reaching $14.8 billion in 2024. However, Spain has decided to cancel a $325 million purchase of anti-tank missiles from Israel's Rafael. Trump claims that Los Angeles will be liberated as protests against ICE persist, while the Department of Homeland Security reports that ICE has apprehended some of the most dangerous illegal immigrants in Los Angeles, including individuals guilty of murder, sexual offenses, and other violent crimes. Trump's administration has requested Serbia, a friendly nation, to take in deportees. Furthermore, Trump has signed a travel ban affecting nationals from 12 countries, with additional restrictions on 7 more, and he mentions that Egypt is not included in the travel ban because they have things under control.
Iran has declared its exit from the 6th round of discussions with the United States, labeling the nuclear negotiations as meaningless following an Israeli airstrike. This decision comes despite former President Trump's offer of a second chance. The Israeli strikes have resulted in the deaths of several of Iran's most influential figures, including military and nuclear leaders, and have targeted over 100 locations in Iran, including nuclear sites. According to Reuters, experts indicate that the damage to Iran's nuclear facilities remains minimal. The UN Nuclear Watchdog Board has determined that Iran is not adhering to its obligations, prompting Iran to announce the establishment of a new nuclear enrichment site in response to the UN's criticism. A Chinese envoy has called on Israel to cease its risky attacks on Iran, cautioning about the serious consequences that could arise.
The National Weather Service in the United States has issued the first ever heat advisory for Alaska. A study indicates that China's Yellow River is expected to experience ice jams as a result of global warming. According to EU scientists, May was the 2nd hottest month globally on record. Trump has redirected the focus of deportations, temporarily halting most raids on farms, hotels, and restaurants, while instructing ICE to intensify deportation efforts in cities that are strongholds for Democrats. The Washington Post notes that the United States might experience a net loss of immigrants for the first time in half a century. The Wall Street Journal reports that ICE raids have caused Latino shoppers to go into hiding, negatively impacting major brands. Trump asserts his authority in defining what America First entails, and his administration is contemplating the addition of 36 countries to the travel ban list.
Elon Musk expressed regret over some of his posts about Donald Trump, stating he had gone too far. The White House press secretary mentioned that Trump acknowledged Musk's apology. According to the New York Times, Musk had a conversation with Trump before issuing his message of regret. Trump referred to Musk as a friend who had become a bit unusual. In the United States, federal agencies were reportedly monitoring foreigners visiting Musk, concerned they might be attempting to influence him.
Rioters in Northern Ireland have set fire to homes and a refuge site. CNN has reported that the Trump administration has informed migrants from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela that their legal status has been terminated. A large crowd gathered for a second protest in the Netherlands, demanding government action against Israel.
Trump announces that the trade agreement with China is finalized, with tariffs established at 55%, while Chinese-supported Temu begins selling directly to the U.S. following a trade truce between Washington and Beijing. The Wall Street Journal indicates that China has imposed a 6-month restriction on the facilitation of rare earth export licenses, coinciding with Trump's statement that China will provide rare earths, and the U.S. will permit student entry. Reuters notes that the U.S.-China trade truce has not resolved the issue of rare earths intended for military use, according to sources.
The European Central Bank's Christine Lagarde has softly encouraged China to modify its current practices. An appeals court has ruled that the tariffs imposed by former President Trump can remain in place for an extended period. France has implemented a ban on influencers who promote ultra-fast fashion.
The Russian president has enacted a law that confirms an agreement for constructing a petroleum product pipeline in Congo. Germany is prioritizing rail infrastructure in its €500 billion investment initiative. Vietnam has been recognized as a partner country by BRICS, as announced by Brazil, while the United States is urging Vietnam to reduce its reliance on Chinese technology, according to sources.
The U.S. Actors Union has halted a year-long strike related to video games after reaching a preliminary agreement concerning artificial intelligence. Disney and Universal have taken legal action against Midjourney, accusing the company of creating AI-generated versions of their most iconic characters. While the number of visits to pirate websites has decreased to 216 billion annually, there is a significant rise in the piracy of manga.
Researchers in China have discovered the initial proof suggesting that artificial intelligence might possess the capability to think in a manner similar to humans. Mattel has partnered with OpenAI to assist in the creation of toys and various other products. China has taken the step of closing down AI tools during the period of nationwide college examinations.
IBM claims breakthrough in quantum error correction. The U.S. Navy supports the right to repair following a $13 billion carrier crew's experience of being half-fed due to contractor-locked ovens. A U.S. judge decides that Deere must confront the FTC's antitrust lawsuit regarding repair costs.
The White House has suggested eliminating the 988 suicide hotline services specifically designed for LGBTQ youth. In Japan, there is a call for the government to adopt more pessimistic population projections due to a significant decrease in birth rates. An Air India plane crash has resulted in the deaths of at least 241 people, with only one passenger surviving. Shopify has collaborated with Coinbase and Stripe in a significant stablecoin agreement. The CEO of GameStop has stated that the company's future prospects do not lie in the gaming industry. Walmart and Amazon are currently investigating the possibility of creating their own stablecoins. Humans have observed the sun's poles for the first time. Unusual radio signals have been identified emanating from the ice in Antarctica. Experiencing several severe climate events while pregnant might have a cumulative impact on the development of a child's brain.
The U.S. Justice Department has stated that Donald Trump has the authority to revoke the status of national monuments that safeguard natural landscapes. Trump has declared his intention to revert the names of several military bases to their original titles, which were altered during Joe Biden's presidency. Furthermore, the Grammy Awards have introduced a new category called Best Traditional Country Album, following Beyoncé's recent win.
YouTube aims to safeguard free speech by reducing its content moderation efforts. A source indicates that the Washington Post is conducting an investigation into a cyber attack targeting journalists' email accounts. Meta's Llama 3.1 has the capability to remember 42% of the content from the first Harry Potter book. Whole Foods has issued a warning about potential product shortages following a cyber attack on its main distributor, UNFI. The United Nations has raised concerns that terrorists might exploit driverless cars to create deadly weapons known as slaughterbots. Citizen Lab has discovered that spyware developed by a US-backed Israeli company has been used to target journalists in Europe.
The UK regulatory body is conducting an investigation into potential violations of online safety standards on platforms such as 4chan and others. The UK government is set to launch a national investigation into organised child sexual abuse, following significant pressure from Elon Musk. In France, a group of drivers has initiated a lawsuit against Tesla, citing Elon Musk's right-wing political views as the reason for their legal action. The World Bank has decided to remove its restriction on providing financial support for nuclear energy projects, which is expected to give a significant boost to the nuclear energy industry. The World Bank has indicated that the 2020s are projected to be the most economically challenging decade globally since the 1960s. The United Nations is urging for more rapid and decisive action to combat child labor, as the world is currently on track to fall short of the target to eliminate this practice by the year 2025. Trump announces plans to phase out FEMA post-hurricane season, believing governors can manage disasters. In the United States, the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, is taking steps to eliminate restrictions on greenhouse gas emissions from power plants. The Trump administration has decided to withdraw from an agreement with Northwest tribes aimed at restoring salmon populations. The United States is reassessing the AUKUS agreement to align it with the America First policy, which an expert suggests is a strategy to maximize financial gains from its allies. China's nuclear arsenal is rapidly increasing, and by 2030, its intercontinental ballistic missiles might reach the numbers of those possessed by the United States and Russia, according to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, SIPRI. Researchers have also cautioned that the global expansion of nuclear weapons is primarily being driven by the US and Russia. Saab has made history by testing an AI-powered combat capability on its Gripen jets. Axios has reported that Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu has requested the United States to facilitate negotiations between Israel and Syria. In the context of Israel's Operation Rising Lion, former US President Donald Trump has refuted any involvement of the United States, while Iran asserts it possesses solid proof of American backing. US officials have disclosed that Trump vetoed an Israeli plan to assassinate Iran's supreme leader. Trump has also suggested that Iran and Israel should fight it out to achieve a resolution. Axios further reports that Israel's strike on Iran was planned over an 8-month period. Elon Musk has announced the activation of Starlink in Tehran after the Iranian regime disconnected citizens from the internet during Israeli strikes. The United States is also working to restore VOA's Persian service amid the ongoing Iran-Israel conflict.
The Fulbright board has stepped down following allegations of political interference by aides to former President Trump. In the United States, the Congressional Budget Office, CBO, has indicated that the GOP tax bill would impose an annual cost of $1,600 on low-income Americans while increasing the earnings of the highest earners by $12,000. President Trump has disclosed an income exceeding $600 million, derived from cryptocurrency, golf, and licensing fees, including a $57 million profit from his involvement with the crypto venture World Liberty Financial.
In the United States, fraudulent individuals are employing artificial intelligence to register fictitious students in virtual courses, subsequently pilfering financial assistance. El Pius observes that counterfeit bands and synthetic music are increasingly dominating platforms like YouTube and Spotify. Wikipedia has temporarily halted the creation of AI-generated summaries following criticism from its editors.
Macron extends assistance for Greenland security in response to Trump's threats, while Hegseth mentions that the Pentagon has prepared plans for a potential invasion of Greenland if required. The Norwegian monarch has made a visit to the polar region of Svalbard, reflecting an increasing interest in the Arctic. Furthermore, Canada plans to intensify its mining efforts due to rising geopolitical tensions, as stated by former Minister Bill Morneau.
In a recent phone conversation, Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump engaged in discussions about the ongoing tensions in the Middle East and the conflict in Ukraine. French President Emmanuel Macron has dismissed Trump's suggestion that Putin could act as a mediator in the Israel-Iran crisis. Trump has affirmed that the United States will continue to back Israeli airstrikes. Following attacks on Tel Aviv and Haifa by Iran, Israel has warned that residents of Tehran will face consequences. These attacks have resulted in the deaths of 8 people and injuries to dozens more.
Iran asserts that Pakistan would retaliate with nuclear weapons against Israel if the latter were to use nuclear force against Pakistan. The United States has informed Israel that it will not engage in any Israeli military action targeting Iran. Furthermore, for days prior, former President Trump cautioned that
banning officials from using internet-linked devices and advising citizens to delete WhatsApp from their mobile devices. However, WhatsApp has denied Iran's claim that it is working with Israel for espionage activity.
Scientists caution that the bright lights in casinos might be altering your brain, making you more inclined to take risks. A study by Microsoft reveals that there is an increasing trend of meetings being scheduled after 8 p.m. In Britain, a severe heat wave led to
research indicates that prohibiting plastic bags effectively reduces litter on shorelines. The rise in global temperatures is contributing to a significant surge in cases of obstructive sleep apnea. Satellites from the European Space Agency have successfully produced the first artificial total solar eclipse in the vastness of space. Chinese film studios are set to create AI-driven remakes of iconic kung fu movies featuring legendary actors like Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, and Jet Li. Mark Zuckerberg is spearheading an aggressive AI talent acquisition campaign, offering substantial $100 million compensation packages. In a related development, Sam Altman revealed that Meta extended $100 million bonuses to employees at OpenAI. Despite these advancements, AI has shown minimal influence on the overall well-being of workers, even though there are self-reported concerns about job satisfaction.
A recent study indicates that trust in artificial intelligence is most prevalent in China and low-income countries. Creators have expressed surprise at the revelation that Google utilizes YouTube content to train its AI systems. Furthermore, research suggests that social media has become the primary source of news for people in the United States.
Coal from its energy mix. A recent study indicates that the swift decline in cloud cover is playing a role in the occurrence of unprecedentedly high temperatures.
The Russian leader has asserted that several nations are ready to supply Iran with nuclear weapons after the United States launched strikes. 5 days prior, Russia cautioned the U.S. against attacking Iran, highlighting the potential for a nuclear disaster. In the United States, officials have admitted their uncertainty regarding the current status of Iran's uranium reserves. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu has stated that Israel is nearing its objectives in Iran, as the U.S. becomes more involved in the conflict between Israel and Iran by targeting 3 Iranian nuclear facilities.
In the United States, the number of abortions continued to increase in 2024, largely due to the availability of telehealth prescriptions, according to a recent report. In the United Kingdom, members of Parliament have supported an assisted dying bill in a significant vote held in the House of Commons. The Supreme Court has upheld a law that prohibits gender-affirming care for minors, marking a setback for transgender rights, as it also approved a Tennessee ban on such care for children.
Texas has discreetly halted funding for its state border wall project, which is only 8% completed. Trump's border security official has stated that immigration enforcement actions at farms and hotels will persist. Children are engaging in conflicts during anti-ICE protests and raids within the virtual world of Roblox. The governor of Texas has signed a law that prohibits individuals from China from purchasing real estate within the state. Former President Trump has expressed the opinion that the United States has an excessive number of holidays where people do not work, specifically mentioning Juneteenth. Whoopi Goldberg has made a statement comparing the challenges faced by Black Americans to those experienced by people in Iran.
Iran is allegedly taking steps to shut down the Strait of Hormuz following U.S. military actions. According to Axios, senior Democrats were kept uninformed about the plans for the strike on Iran. Hegseth mentioned that congressional leaders were briefed on the U.S. attack on Iran only after the aircraft had safely returned. Sources indicate that Trump's strikes on Iran were based on intuition rather than concrete intelligence, as U.S. spy agencies evaluate that Iran has not yet made a decision regarding the development of a nuclear bomb.
J.D. Vance asserts that the United States is engaged in conflict with Iran's nuclear ambitions rather than Iran itself, and he emphasizes that the U.S. has no interest in deploying ground troops in Iran. Vance also cautions against any retaliatory actions by Iran, while Donald Trump advocates for regime change to make Iran great again. The U.S. urges China to stop Iran from blocking the Strait of Hormuz, which could severely disrupt global oil supplies. Marco Rubio indicates that the U.S. is prepared to engage in discussions with Iran following recent strikes, but he strongly advises against Iran closing the Strait of Hormuz, describing it as a suicidal move.
U.S. military actions against Iran's nuclear sites have prompted promises of retaliation from Hamas and the Houthis, while global leaders respond. It is reported that Iran's supreme leader, Khamenei, has selected 3 possible successors as he remains concealed in a bunker. The United States has imposed sanctions on individuals and entities supplying Iran with defense equipment and facilitating Houthi oil trade.
Harvard employed a researcher to investigate its connections to slavery. He claims the findings led to his dismissal. We discovered an excessive number of slaves. The New York Post indicates that Pelosi earned millions last year, with her investment portfolio surpassing the performance of every major hedge fund, achieving remarkable returns. Recent trademark filings hint that Trump might be planning to introduce a wireless phone brand, as the Trump Organization reveals a mobile plan and a $499 smartphone.
The United States Supreme Court has affirmed a law that permits legal action against Palestinian authorities in connection with attacks. Israeli officials have issued a warning that Iran is allegedly taking control of security cameras to conduct espionage activities. El Al Airlines has announced plans to commence rescue flights departing from Israel beginning on Monday, following the receipt of 25,000 applications.
Attorneys representing drug traffickers and individuals accused of sexual abuse are on the verge of being appointed as judges in Mexico, as highlighted in a report 3 weeks ago titled "An Ex-Convict and Cartel Lawyers Are Among Mexico's Judicial Candidates." Additionally, the U.S. Treasury has imposed sanctions on leaders of the Cartel de Jalisco Nueva Generation under counterterrorism measures. Furthermore, cybercriminals have infiltrated Aflac, continuing their hacking campaign targeting the U.S. insurance sector.
A wildfire in Crete, Greece, has led to the evacuation of 5,000 people amid an ongoing heat wave across Europe. A report supported by the United Nations highlights the growing threat of global drought, urging immediate action and describing recent droughts as a slow-moving global catastrophe. Additionally, the European Union aims to reduce emissions by 90% by 2040, a goal that has drawn criticism from environmental groups.
In the United States, the Space Systems Command has awarded a contract valued at $2.8 billion to Boeing for the purpose of delivering the initial 2 satellites aimed at enhancing strategic communication capabilities. This initiative is crucial for supporting the nuclear command, control, and communications mission. France 24 has reported that intelligence sources indicate Beijing has been engaging in disinformation campaigns targeting French Rafale jets. The objective of these campaigns is reportedly to increase the sales of Chinese-manufactured aircraft. Japan has announced its plans to export used destroyers to the Philippines. This move is part of a broader strategy for both nations to counter China's influence in the maritime domain.
The leader of Hezbollah has stated that he will not agree to disarm his group until Israel completely withdraws from the southern region of Lebanon. Israel has dispatched a delegation to Qatar to engage in discussions regarding hostages. However, the Israeli government finds the demands made by Hamas to be unacceptable. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu has expressed his belief that former U.S. President Donald Trump could play a role in facilitating a ceasefire agreement. On the other hand, Hamas has indicated that it is responding to the proposal for a ceasefire in Gaza with a positive spirit.
The ongoing conflict between Elon Musk and Donald Trump has resurfaced, with Musk, the owner of X, once again mentioning the Epstein list following Trump's criticism of Musk's new political party, which he labeled as ridiculous. Meanwhile, Axios has reported that the Department of Justice and the FBI have determined that Jeffrey Epstein did not possess a client list and concluded that his death was a suicide. Tesla's stock has experienced a significant decline after Trump dismissed Musk's political party initiative and described him as off the rails. China has responded to the European Union's actions by imposing a prohibition on the importation of European medical devices, effectively preventing EU companies from securing contracts in the medical device sector as part of a reciprocal measure. The United States and Canada are set to restart their trade negotiations following Ottawa's decision to eliminate its digital tax. In the United States, the Treasury Secretary has announced that nations lacking trade agreements will face tariffs reverting to their April levels by August 1.
Authorities in Turkey have detained 3 mayors as part of a broader effort to suppress opposition voices. The Supreme Court of Brazil has issued a decision holding digital platforms accountable for the content posted by their users. The Reuters X account in India has been reinstated following its suspension due to a legal request.
Elon Musk has established the America Party, aiming to influence key House and Senate seats and potentially alter narrow congressional votes. This move follows his departure from Trump over disagreements on tax and spending policies. In response, Trump claims that without government subsidies, Musk would need to return to South Africa and threatens to investigate him using Doge, reigniting their feud. Trump also warns that Doge could become a problem for Musk. Musk's new political party is set to be pro-gun and pro-Bitcoin, with Musk emphasizing the sanctity of the Second Amendment.
China's foreign minister has informed the European Union that Beijing is unable to tolerate a defeat for Russia in Ukraine, according to media reports. Russia launched a significant air assault on Ukraine shortly after a phone conversation between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin, during which Trump stated that no progress was made regarding a ceasefire in Ukraine. Trump reportedly expressed to Ukrainian President Zelensky his desire to assist Ukraine with air defense measures. At the Rio summit, the BRICS group criticized tariffs, attacks in Iran, and the situation in Gaza, but refrained from explicitly mentioning the United States. In response, Trump cautioned about imposing a 10% tariff on what he described as anti-American policies by BRICS.
Iran has instructed millions of Afghans to depart the country by a specified deadline, warning that failure to comply will result in arrest. The United Nations reports that hundreds of thousands of Afghans have been compelled to leave Iran due to this intensified crackdown. Russia has made history by becoming the first country to officially acknowledge the Taliban government in Afghanistan since their takeover in 2021. A review conducted by the CIA of the 2016 investigation into Russian interference in the U.S. election has concluded that there were no significant errors. Sean Diddy Combs has been acquitted of the most severe charges against him, but he will continue to be held in custody for the time being. After 100 years, Paris has lifted the prohibition on public swimming in the Seine River. YouTube has announced that it will raise the minimum age requirement for live streaming to 16 years old. Tucker Carlson has requested that an interview with Iran's president be broadcast. Iran's president has instructed the country to halt its cooperation with the UN's nuclear watchdog, the IAEA, leading to the withdrawal of UN nuclear inspectors from Iran due to safety concerns. Reuters has reported, citing U.S. sources, that Iran has been making preparations to mine the Strait of Hormuz. In other news, Shell-led LNG Canada has successfully shipped its first cargo to satisfy the energy demands of Asia. The South China Morning Post has highlighted that the ongoing Israel-Iran conflict is heightening Asia's energy security anxieties, particularly regarding the potential risks associated with the Strait of Hormuz.
In the United States, Texas is experiencing devastating floods, resulting in at least 82 fatalities. Families of those missing are anxiously waiting and holding on to hope. Europe is enduring a severe heat wave, with Paris expected to reach 104 degrees Fahrenheit 41 degrees Celsius. The Eiffel Tower has been closed due to the intense heat, which is attributed to a Saharan dust storm affecting France. In India, New Delhi has declared that implementing a fuel ban on older vehicles is not practical. This comes 6 days after the Indian capital introduced a fuel ban on older cars as part of an initiative to combat pollution.
In the United States, the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, has placed 144 employees on leave after they signed a letter expressing criticism of President Trump. Stat reports that nearly all NIH grants that were previously terminated are being reinstated, primarily in states that lean Democratic. President Trump signed the spending bill during the White House's 4th of July festivities. Concurrently, as the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, ceases its operations, Senator Marco Rubio has indicated that future U.S. foreign aid will be restricted, with USAID programs now being managed by the State Department.
Amazon introduces a new artificial intelligence foundation model designed to enhance its robotic operations and reaches the milestone of deploying its 1 millionth robot. China organizes the inaugural completely autonomous AI robot football match. In the United Kingdom, a government minister instructs the Turing AI Institute to concentrate on defense initiatives and calls for a comprehensive restructuring of the country's premier AI research institution.
A Norwegian pension fund has decided to remove U.S. and German defense companies from its investment portfolio due to the ongoing conflict in Gaza. Maersk has ceased transporting goods to illegal Israeli settlements located in the West Bank. A report has surfaced criticizing a plan developed by BCG to relocate Palestinians from Gaza, as well as the Tony Blair Institute's association with this plan, which has been denounced as an act of ethnic cleansing.
The White House has announced that the United States will pause certain weapons deliveries to Ukraine. In Croatia, a right-wing singer made headlines by performing a pro-Nazi salute alongside his fans. Poland is set to implement border controls with Germany and Lithuania due to migration concerns. Canada has instructed the Chinese company Hikvision to cease its operations within the country. Axios has disclosed that in the United States, WhatsApp has been prohibited from being used on devices owned by House staffers. The U.S. is considering implementing restrictions on AI chips in Malaysia and Thailand due to concerns related to China.
Malaysia has implemented a prohibition on importing plastic waste from the United States and various other nations. In a related development, Thailand is proposing additional trade concessions to the United States in an effort to prevent a potential 36% tariff. President Trump has declared the establishment of a preliminary trade agreement with Vietnam.
A recent study suggests that burnout may not be solely a work-related issue. Research indicates that humans possess distinct breathing patterns, often referred to as breathing fingerprints, which could potentially provide insights into an individual's health status. Furthermore, new findings emphasize that there is no level of processed meat consumption that can be considered safe.
The New York Times is set to begin investigating deleted ChatGPT logs following its legal victory over OpenAI. Cloudflare is launching a pay-per-crawl service, allowing content creators to charge AI crawlers for accessing their data.
Research indicates that air pollution is associated with DNA mutations that contribute to lung cancer. Engaging in more than 100 minutes of walking daily has been shown to significantly reduce the likelihood of experiencing low back pain. Carrying excess weight is found to increase the risk of breast cancer in postmenopausal women who also have cardiovascular disease.
NASA has partnered with Netflix to broadcast rocket launches and spacewalks this summer. Scarlett Johansson has surpassed $14.8 billion in global box office earnings, becoming the highest-grossing Hollywood actor ever, surpassing her Marvel co-stars Robert Downey Jr. and Zoe Saldana. Anna Wintour has retired from her position at American Vogue after serving for 37 years. In the United States, the Sinaloa cartel employed phone data and surveillance cameras to locate FBI informants, according to the Department of Justice. The notorious cartel reportedly hired a hacker to utilize surveillance cameras and phone data to track and eliminate FBI informants, as stated by the U.S. government. The Colombian Navy intercepted a drone narco sub powered by Starlink, which was a boat converted for uncrewed smuggling operations. Furthermore, new records have revealed that a shadowy CIA officer monitored Lee Harvey Oswald prior to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Bloomberg discusses how call center employees are growing weary of being confused with artificial intelligence. The Verge highlights the resistance of graphic artists in China against AI, which they feel diminishes their unique artistic expression. A Microsoft executive suggests that employees who have been laid off might find AI useful in managing the emotional challenges that come with job loss.
According to a study reported by Kelley Blue Book, cars are increasingly experiencing blind spots in various areas. A study has revealed that overfishing has led to a reduction in the body size of cod by half since the 1990s. Greece has implemented work breaks in response to a severe heat wave affecting the nation.
Meta has emerged victorious in a legal battle against authors who claimed copyright infringement due to the use of their books in AI training. Microsoft is facing a lawsuit from authors who allege that their books were improperly utilized in AI training processes. Apple has been unsuccessful in its attempt to dismiss a case accusing it of monopolizing the U.S. smartphone market. In response to potential fines, Apple has modified its App Store policies in the European Union.
Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have been instructed to evaluate cryptocurrency as a potential asset when purchasing mortgages. In Russia, a new registry for crypto mining equipment has been established to help reduce illegal activities. The U.S. Secret Service has amassed a $400 million fund from cryptocurrencies, seized over the past decade as part of scam investigations.
In an effort to satisfy Trump and maintain financial support, the University of California has prohibited student governments from engaging in boycotts against Israel. Trump Media has introduced a new TV streaming service that includes the Newsmax channel, available worldwide. Trump is exerting pressure to finalize trade agreements by Wednesday, although there are indications that negotiations might be extended.
A child from the world's oldest known burial site has been identified as a hybrid of Neanderthals and Homo sapiens. An ancient Egyptian genome has shown that it has roots in North Africa and ancestry from the Fertile Crescent. In Peru, archaeologists have discovered a city that is 3,500 years old, which served as a connection between the coastal regions and the Andes.
A video featuring an AI-generated flood at a Seoul palace highlights the growing issue of deepfakes in South Korea. 17 people have lost their lives in the country due to severe rainstorms that led to landslides and flooding. Cloudflare has begun blocking websites that host pirated content for users in the UK. Furthermore, the U.S. Nuclear Weapons Agency has been compromised in a hack involving Microsoft SharePoint, with both Google and Microsoft reporting that Chinese hackers are taking advantage of a zero-day vulnerability in SharePoint.
Researchers in China have achieved the successful cloning of a yak. Physicists at CERN have announced their initial findings on the imbalance between matter and antimatter in subatomic particles. A startup company claims it plans to utilize nuclear fusion technology to transform mercury into gold.
China has demolished 300 dams and closed hydropower facilities to protect the habitat of the Yangtze River. In Athens, efforts are underway to restore a 2,000-year-old Roman aqueduct to supply water to the city due to ongoing droughts. An international group has issued a warning that Kabul might face a water shortage by the year 2030.
Felix Baumgartner, known for his historic jump from the edge of space, has tragically passed away in a paragliding accident. Ozzy Osbourne, the legendary musician, has died at the age of 76, shortly after performing in the final Black Sabbath show in the UK. A rare opportunity for Star Wars enthusiasts is on the horizon as Darth Vader's primary lightsaber is set to be auctioned. The WNBA All-Stars, united in their cause, don shirts with the bold message "Pay us what you owe us." Meanwhile, the New York Times highlighted a story where major law firms, initially intimidated by Trump, were replaced by a group of smaller firms who courageously took on the challenge. Oxfam reported that the wealthiest 4 individuals in Africa possess more wealth than the entire bottom half of the continent's population. Putin has given the green light for the development of a state-run messaging application aimed at countering the influence of WhatsApp and Telegram, as Russia prepares to eliminate WhatsApp as part of its efforts to assert digital sovereignty. Additionally, Russia and Belarus have introduced a censored patriotic AI designed to compete with Western counterparts. Furthermore, a new Russian law has been enacted that makes it illegal to conduct online searches for content that is considered controversial.
Microsoft has decided to cease employing engineers based in China for providing technical support related to U.S. military technology. In a separate development, France has apprehended a Russian basketball player at the behest of the United States, citing charges of hacking. Reuters has disclosed that Trump's Golden Dome is currently exploring options beyond SpaceX, which is owned by Elon Musk, for its future endeavors.
Research indicates that the movement of ships can cause methane to be released from the ocean floor. The BRICS countries are urging affluent nations to provide financial support for the worldwide shift towards a more sustainable climate. According to the Financial Times, the European Union is delaying the signing of a climate action agreement with China. Mercedes-Benz is introducing the capability to utilize an in-car camera for Microsoft Teams meetings during drives. Tesla is enhancing its vehicle lineup by integrating Grok AI with the 2025.26 software update. Renault is aiming to increase its production in India by focusing on more SUVs and expanding exports.
Claude has introduced a financial analysis solution specifically designed for investment firms. According to a Reuters report, OpenAI is planning to launch a web browser, aiming to compete with Google Chrome. America's largest power grid is facing challenges in meeting the increasing demand generated by artificial intelligence. According to a report by The Conversation, our latest study suggests that the improvement in air quality in East Asia might have contributed to the recent increase in the rate of global warming. Scientists have observed a significant thawing in Svalbard, marking a dramatic point in the Arctic winter. Furthermore, a study indicates that the melting of glaciers could potentially lead to volcanic eruptions occurring worldwide.
Recent research indicates that student loan debt might not discourage civic participation. Instead, it could potentially motivate it. Cornell University has released findings suggesting that conspiracy theorists are often unaware that their views are considered extreme. A study has been reported that claims the pandemic has accelerated brain aging, affecting individuals regardless of whether they contracted COVID-19.
Users of Reddit in the United Kingdom are now required to demonstrate that they are at least 18 years old in order to access adult content. 5 countries within the European Union are set to experiment with an age verification application aimed at safeguarding children. In the United States, the military has announced that it will continuously oversee bathrooms to adhere to an anti-transgender directive.
The Trump administration has made public FBI documents related to Martin Luther King Jr., even though his family expressed their disapproval. Trump shared a fabricated video depicting Obama being arrested. Hunter Biden claimed that his father, Joe, was under the influence of Ambien during the poorly received 2024 debate with Trump. France is conducting an investigation into X regarding allegations of foreign interference. A member of parliament has expressed criticism towards Grok. X has strongly criticized the French criminal investigation, which claims to involve manipulation of algorithms. In other news, the White House is in the process of preparing an executive order aimed at addressing what it refers to as woke AI. Furthermore, the UK is considering retracting its request for backdoor access to the encrypted data of Apple users.
The Wall Street Journal has announced that the FDA has given the green light to Juul's e-cigarettes, following a ban that nearly drove the company to bankruptcy. Coca-Cola is set to introduce a cane sugar soda this fall, a move prompted by a request from former President Trump. In the United States, the Environmental Protection Agency is reportedly working on a plan that would limit its capacity to combat climate change.
A teenage girl who lived 6,200 years ago and had a cone-shaped skull was discovered in Iran. The renowned fairy tale castles of Bavaria's King Ludwig II, including Neuschwanstein Castle, have been recognized as UNESCO World Heritage Sites. The United States has once more exited UNESCO, pointing to perceived anti-Israel bias and involvement in woke issues. In the United States, Senator Marco Rubio has taken the step of revoking the visas of a Brazilian judge and several associates in response to the ongoing prosecution of former Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro. This action comes as Bolsonaro himself has been mandated to wear an ankle monitor following a police raid. A State Department official has warned that expressing criticism of Israel could potentially result in visa revocations. The Pentagon has issued an order for 700 Marines to be withdrawn from Los Angeles, as the city regains stability after a series of protests involving Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE. A group of 100 BBC insiders has written a letter accusing the UK broadcaster of acting as a public relations tool for Israel. Notable figures such as Miriam Margolyes and Charles Dance have signed the letter. Riyad Mansour, the Palestinian ambassador to the UN, has compared the current situation to the early stages of South Africa's struggle, noting that initially, not many people offered support. In the United States, Columbia University has taken action against students involved in an anti-Israel riot that resulted in a violent takeover of a library, issuing suspensions and expulsions to several students.
India has achieved a significant milestone by reaching 50% of its power generation from non-fossil sources, surpassing its target for clean energy by 2030. Ember Energy has reported that solar energy has become the primary power source in the European Union for the first time in history. The United Nations has approved a motion on climate change following the Marshall Islands' decision to shift its focus away from fossil fuels. In India, Airtel has collaborated with Perplexity to provide Perplexity Pro to each of its 360 million customers. Microsoft, OpenAI, and a U.S. teachers union are working together on a strategy to integrate AI into educational settings. An AI robot, trained using surgery videos, successfully performed a gallbladder operation without any human assistance.
A filing by the Department of Justice indicates that executives from MoonPay might have transferred $250,000 to a scammer based in Nigeria. The government of the United Kingdom is planning to prohibit public organizations from making ransom payments to hackers. Furthermore, the Federal Bureau of Investigation has concluded its investigation into Jesse Powell, the founder of Kraken, regarding claims of hacking into non-profit accounts.
Top Bay Area eateries are scrutinizing your social media profiles before you even set foot inside. In Florida, robo-bunnies have emerged as the latest tool in combating the spread of invasive Burmese pythons. Individuals can be identified using a distinctive fingerprint, derived from the way their bodies interfere with Wi-Fi signals.
YouTube has eliminated a vast number of propaganda channels associated with countries like China, Russia, and others. In a related development, Iranians have been subjected to spyware attacks as tensions rise in anticipation of a potential conflict with Israel. Meta has taken action by deleting 10 million Facebook profiles in an ongoing campaign to reduce spam.
The United Kingdom has decided to proceed with the sale of Typhoon fighter jets to Turkey following Germany's decision to lift its previous veto on the deal. In a significant development in space technology, Chinese satellites have successfully completed their initial high-altitude rendezvous, marking a potential breakthrough in the field of refueling in space. Iran has officially confirmed that it is engaging in nuclear negotiations with European nations, marking the first such talks since the recent military strikes by the United States. The Wall Street Journal has reported that Iran is taking steps to rearm its militia allies.
Restaurants and bars are contemplating shutting off music due to the rapid increase in licensing fees. An AI-created band has achieved 1 million plays on Spotify, prompting music industry experts to suggest that listeners should be informed. Netflix has announced that half of its worldwide users are now watching anime and has unveiled an expanded lineup. McDonald's AI tool for hiring had a password as simple as 123456, which led to the exposure of personal data for 64 million job applicants. Spotify released songs created by AI, featuring the voices of deceased artists, without obtaining any prior permission. Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, has raised concerns about a potential crisis involving AI-generated voice fraud within the banking sector.
Trump instructed Pam Bondi to obtain the release of relevant documents from the Epstein grand jury. Trump threatened legal measures to prevent the Wall Street Journal from publishing an embarrassing story about Jeffrey Epstein, and he filed a $10 billion lawsuit against Rupert Murdoch concerning a Wall Street Journal article about an Epstein birthday letter. The Wall Street Journal reported that Jeffrey Epstein's acquaintances sent him risque letters for a 50th birthday album, with one being from Donald Trump.
The United States is indicating a plan to reconsider the current system for the H-1B visa lottery. Under President Trump's administration, the Labor Department has put forth over 60 proposed rule modifications aimed at reducing workplace regulations. Furthermore, President Donald J. Trump has introduced a new category of federal employees, known as Schedule G employees, which are non-career, policy-focused positions designed to better serve the American public. The United States is set to implement a significant anti-dumping tariff of 93.5% on battery materials originating from China. MP Materials and Apple have declared a joint venture worth $500 million aimed at manufacturing recycled rare earth magnets within the United States. Former President Trump has eased restrictions on chip exports to China, allowing AMD to begin selling its MI308 AI chips in the country once licenses are granted. This move follows NVIDIA's announcement of plans to resume sales of its H20 chips in China, with the U.S. government having assured the company of license approvals and deliveries expected to commence shortly.
Individuals planning to visit the United States will now be required to pay an additional $250 fee, which is designated as a visa integrity fee. In other news, India is set to grant its first tourist visas to Chinese citizens in a span of 5 years. Officials from the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic committees have decided to exclude transgender women from participating in the women's sports categories at the Olympic Games.
The Trump administration has provided the personal information of Medicaid recipients, such as their addresses, to Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE. In the United Kingdom, Nigel Farage has proposed deporting violent criminals to El Salvador as part of a broader crime-fighting initiative. In Japan, the far-right Sansito Party, advocating for a Japanese-first stance, has become the fourth-largest opposition group in parliament, gaining prominence with its strong immigration policies amid the government's loss of control in the upper house. SpaceX has cautioned its investors that Elon Musk might re-enter the realm of United States politics. Donald Trump has intensified his accusations against Barack Obama, labeling him a traitor in the ongoing conflict regarding the 2016 Russia investigation. Trump further asserts that Obama should be the primary focus of the Department of Justice's inquiry into the intelligence report. In the United States, the Republican Party has halted proceedings on the House floor to prevent a vote on Jeffrey Epstein, while the Deputy Attorney General is scheduled to meet with Epstein's accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell.
The head of the Hong Kong Monetary Authority has cautioned against overenthusiasm regarding stablecoins. Donald Trump has pledged to transform the United States into the global leader in cryptocurrency by signing the Genius Act into law, which includes stablecoin regulations, as the crypto sector seeks broader acceptance. Gallup has reported that cryptocurrency continues to have limited appeal among average Americans. In response to changing regulations in Hong Kong and the U.S., Citigroup is considering exploring stablecoins.
Emirates, the Dubai-based airline, is adopting digital currencies and the metaverse as strategies to draw on new customers. Telegram has launched its cryptocurrency wallet, making it available to its 87 million users in the United States. The CEO of Western Union has announced intentions to incorporate